Welcome to our podcast, Below the Belt, wherever you guys are joining us from. It's our privilege to have you here with us. Guys, we would rather it no other way. We would rather it no other way. Again, welcome wherever you guys are. We are so privileged to have each and every one of you joining us today. Oh, we have some special guests today. We got some dignitaries who are going to be with us, some really and true dignitaries here with us today, guys. But let us know how you're receiving the podcast wherever you are. I see scores of you have already tuned into the podcast, uh, getting on to hundreds. We got a big team today, and we're talking about the Dodgy, Shifty PPP and how they're dismantling the guardrails of our democracy. The Dodgy, Shifty PPP and how they're dismantling the guardrails of our democracy. And folks, we're going to have with us today members of Parliament, German Figuera, who is the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee. We're going to have with us Dorita Fernandes, member of Parliament, who's also a member of the Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly. We are going to have with us Ganesh Mahipal, who incidentally is a member of the Public Accounts Committee as well and a member of Parliament. And we're going to have as well the former chairman of that very same Public Accounts Committee, Mr. David Patterson, who is also the former Minister of Public Works. Well, it's Public Works now, used to be infrastructure back under the APNU AFC government when things were moving very smoothly and things didn't tight locally. Nonetheless, folks, we welcome each and every one of you to our discussion today. Welcome to our international podcast, Below the Belt again. We are so privileged to be seeing so many of you guys joining us from so many different places. Andrew Cuthbert, we see you out there. Koana Mingo, we see you as well. Marlon Thomas, we see you too. Abiola Washington, Glennis Mingo Byrne, Carol Hudson, I see Vashti Magnot from Waterloo, Ontario. Waterloo, Canada. Waterloo, Canada. We see Tessa Isaacs, Gravesandi, Dorrit David and Yvonne McPherson, Patricia Kisoon. Folks, welcome to our podcast, Below the Belt. Who vex lose? You know, we're covering several stories at this hour. In particular, this very, very sad one where this couple here from the East Bank who was found murdered this morning. They were found shot to death. This young couple, Nicholas and Sasha Loachi. Found shot to death on the East Bank of an area called Sierra Joanna. Folks, the crime spiraling under the PPP. We didn't care what they say. Crime spiraling. They want to say, oh, serious crimes done and all that. We're feeling it. Crime spiraling as is one pocketory to the next. And there's a one operating right now in the Public Accounts Committee, which is going to be the focus of our discussion, among other issues, guys. So we're following this story, and our thoughts and prayers, of course, go out to the family of Nicholas and Sasha Loachi. It's not even what Saturday we call it, High Risk Saturday. And we have this gruesome murder of this young couple whose bodies were found with multiple gunshot wounds, according to reports that we have seen. Multiple gunshot wounds, newly married couple, folks, and that's what's happening, you know, in our country. The crime rate is going through the roof. In every sector, the PPP government is suffering, you know, from one issue to the next. It's confusion powder from one issue to the next. Folks, that being said, how is the weather where you are? I came through the national capital city of Georgetown, where we host our international podcast from, and the weather is just picture perfect. Believe it or not, according to weather.com, it's 29 degrees outside. 29 degrees outside with a 19% chance that it's going to rain this afternoon. There's a 19% chance, ladies and gentlemen, is going to rain outside this afternoon. Let us know how you guys are receiving our audio. We want it just right. We want the problem. Guys, as I've said, it's my privilege this afternoon to be talking with the Member of Parliament and Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, German Figuera, Member of Parliament, Director of Finance, Member of the Public Accounts Committee, Ganesh Maipal, a member of the Public Accounts Committee as well, and by virtue of that, a Member of Parliament, and former Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, former Minister of Infrastructure, who did proper works. David Patterson is also joining us. Folks, welcome to the podcast, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you guys doing? In no particular order, just jump in. It's a new year. Just jump in and do your thing.
Good day, Sherrod. Good day to all your listeners. It's nice to be here. My first.
It's the whole Public Accounts Committee.
Below the belt for the new year. So happy New Year to everyone that's joining the Below the Belt team.
Thank you.
Hello. Guys. Can't wait to jump into the discussion.
Mr. Chairman, you are on. You're in the discussion.
Were you on live?
Yes, you are live, sir.
I thought it was tonight, sure.
You are live in the program. You are live. You are live with hundreds of folks listening to us.
My goodness. What's up?
I like that. What's up? Ready like a ready soldier. We were just making introductions, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, okay.
So as you wrap, go right ahead. How things at your end?
Yeah, we shaping up. We are in. Let me take this opportunity to wish all of your fans and loyal
listeners and viewers.
Happy 2020. So this year we are prepared to make far more representation. Never before people of Ghana, because we are against a very wicked regime.
Thank you very much. David, you're up. I'm volunteering you.
I think your question is specific with regards to the Public Accounts Committee.
Yes, German. So just hold for us. David is up.
Right. Good afternoon to you and your viewers. Cheryl, it's my pleasure to be on here, and I do think it's quite an important topic to be discussing here today because among other things, I know we're going to talk about the Public Procurement Commission, but I also think we also have to touch on the fact that in passing that wicked Natural Resource Fund bill, one of the issues that the PPP used to say that they will monitor the spending under that bill is the Public Accounts Committee, and I'm sure my colleagues can tell you that that's not really something to be proud about, how the Public Accounts Committee is being run at the moment. So we have a lot of things to talk about. So I let the chairman start off on the Public Procurement Commission. I'll jump in, but I want to talk about how the actual public accounts can help the people.
Awesome. And we're going to talk the things, David. Ganesh, you're up. The one and only.
Hi, Sharad. Good afternoon to all your listeners and my colleagues on the call. It is a privilege indeed to be in your company and that of your listeners. And I look forward to a discussion where our people will understand what really is happening in our country with reference to current affairs. I'm actually on the road driving and participating on this call. I'm not using my phone in my hand in any form of distraction. I'm just speaking as it is on my dashboard, so no one can associate me with breaking any traffic rules.
Very well.
But I'm here, and I'm looking forward to this fruitful discourse.
Fantastic. So let's start with the chairman, because we have come to realize that the PPP are dodgy and shifty. And the German, just yesterday, Mr. Chairman, we saw a news report that suggests that Gail Teixeira, the chief whip for the installed regime, has been avoiding you. As a matter of fact, you are quoted in the media as saying, "Let me make it abundantly clear to this committee that I have made strenuous efforts on numerous occasions to make contact with Madam Teixeira so that we can begin, or we can bring this issue to a finality." And this is about them trying to delay the establishment of the Public Procurement Commission. so that we can bring this issue to finality. Many calls were unanswered, many texts were answered late, and those proposed meetings could not have taken place. So they've been avoiding setting up the Public Procurement Commission, Mr. Chairman. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. I have no other reason to doubt that because, like the media has aptly reported, and I commend them for reporting exactly what you said, is that many efforts were made by me for Mr. Shearer and I to meet because the Public Accounts Committee would have bestowed the confidence in myself and her to establish a subcommittee to deal specifically with this issue. It has been way beyond 6 months since we have been trying to bring this issue to a finality. Yes, he will come back and give a whole lot of rhetoric and all of that. But that is circumlocuting around the issue, which is to bring this issue to finality so the Guyanese population can be comforted in the fact that we have a public procurement commission set up and is operationalized. So Mr. Shearer is being very political, I must say, in skirting around the issue, and we can understand why. A lot of multi-million-dollar contracts that have been awarded, and very questionable under very questionable circumstances, and there's no recourse for contractors to lodge their complaints because this commission has not yet been established. So we're saying it is in an effort for transparency, for accountability, and more so our portfolio for good governance. And our actions in itself does not augur well for good governance, and more so the portfolio that he is supposed to be manning. So that is where we are, Sherrod. I mean, um, Mr. Maipol at yesterday's Public Accounts Committee to propose an ultimatum, basically saying that you have to deal with this within a week time. It is something that I would want to happen, but I don't think the ultimatum is the best approach. I mean, she has been given numerous opportunities for us to meet and bring this to finality, but I would want the confidence bestowed on us to actually work, even though she has been making this process very difficult. But we have a week she has committed for us to meet tomorrow. I take that with a grain of salt, I must say, but let us see what will happen. I mean, public pressure is continuing, and I applaud the Guyanese population, the media, programs like what you are doing, Sherrod, to bring the government to account for the actions to the people. And this is one of the things that they have to account for expeditiously. Within this week, I'm very optimistic that we can bring this thing to a final.
Yep. Ganesh, your name got called, so jump in there. Your name get called by the chairman.
Well, let me say this conclusively. What I said in the Public Accounts Committee is you, Mr. Chairman, John Figuera, and Gail Teixeira, has agreed that you will reach sometime this week, but there was no definitive answer as to the particular time and the particular day and the particular atmosphere that you will reach. So I was of the opinion, and still am of the opinion, that this is Gail Teixeira at her best. Wicked, demonic, and trying to fool the Guyanese people. That's the kind of politics she is aware of, in my humble opinion. So, in light of them not putting definitive dates, definitive time, and definitive atmosphere to reach, I said to the Public Accounts Committee that my proposal is if you do not reach within this 1 week period, then at Monday weekend, bring the names that you have shortlisted and let us get the 5 names that we have to get. Because we as a people, as a country, cannot afford to wait any longer on the establishment of this Public Procurement Commission, and the government continues to dole out billions of dollars in questionable manner to contractors, and we are seeing a number of shady and shabby firms going on in our country. People in Guyana deserve the Procurement Commission to investigate, monitor, evaluate, and all the likes you want to put with reference to the manner in which contracts are awarded and works are being executed. So if you, as the chair and the chief whip on the government side, which is the subcommittee, cannot come to finality with reference to meeting and finalizing findings, bring it to the big committee, bring it to us who's the standing committee, and let us do it. That was on that basis I basically proposed that ultimatum, if you want to use that word.
I love the song with that. If you get to share in the PUP can do y'all what we can do it for y'all. I like this song with that. Juliet and David.
Correct is right.
Juliet and David, feel free to jump in.
Yes, look, they they are stalling, and which is what the public let's give a bit of history. That the Public Procurement Act, which brought into force the Public Procurement Commission, was in place since 2010 or sometime like that. And it was not until the APNUAFC government came in place in 2015 that this commission was actually set up. The PPP, while they were there before 2015, had zero intention of setting it up, and as they do now, right? And they're using the same excuses, the exact same excuses that they used in, before 2015 to keep the commission not to establish commission. All sorts of very loose from commission reasons and those things like that. And so that's what we're finding with them now. They have no intention whatsoever to set up back this commission. So that's what we find. So we have an uphill battle. Because it needs two-thirds majority in Parliament. Obviously, no one side joins two-thirds majority in Parliament. So they need our support and we need their support. And I do think that somehow or the other they're going to withhold their support under some flimsy excuse about this. They're complex. I mean, they'll meet German, and if they meet the German tomorrow, they come to different set of criteria, and they just keep moving the goalposts all the while. But the public pressure is on them.
Fantastic. Julia?
Sure. What something that persons need to understand with the PPP is that they have a way about them that it's their way or the highway. And what we're seeing right about now is they have absolutely no intention of the Public Procurement Commission being functional. We've seen that from day one. This subcommittee that we're referring to has been put together for over 6 months. Over 6 months, I'm not sure if Jarman could clarify if they had more than 2 meetings, But the fact is that I'm glad that he made it extremely clear that he has been making strenuous efforts to meet with Gail Teixeira, and she has not been making herself available for a committee as important as the Public Procurement Commission. David made mention of the act and the fact that the only time the Public Procurement Commission came into being was under the APNUAFC administration, and that's something that we all need to take note of. But what I want persons to know is something that I mentioned yesterday at the Public Accounts Committee when we were discussing this matter, is the functions of the Public Procurement Commission, because a lot of times we speak of these things and persons that are listening don't know these details. And one of the main functions of the Public Procurement Commission, Sherrod, is to monitor and review the procurement procedures of the ministerial, regional, and the national procurement entities, as well as those of project execution unit. So this is what the PP is basically avoiding. They're avoiding scrutiny of the procurement procedures at their ministries, at the regional level, as the RDC level, and so forth. All the national procurement entities and those the project execution units as well. because when the monitoring is done, then investigation goes into play, investigating complaints from suppliers and contractors and so forth, and they go into a full-blown investigation of cases of irregularity and mismanagement. The PPP is avoiding this because this is the function of the Public Procurement Commission. This is what they don't want to put into place at this moment. And I say don't want to put in place because their action speaks louder than their words. I mean, they have all the right words, but their action speaks volume, and the action is saying that they don't want this thing to be established. The PPP has been in office for about 18 months now, Sharon, and what are we seeing at this very moment? From the very first time they have been in office, and the very first day to now, every single project that was executed, all of those projects that went through the procurement procedures, like German rightly said, there's widespread concern about the process altogether. We know how they operate. We've been following in the media also that persons are questioning the legality and the procedural methods that they have been employing to assign projects. And right about now, the only place that we can actually get some finality and answers is through the Public Procurement Commission. And by not establishing that, the PPP is basically completely shutting off the scrutiny, they're shutting off the oversight. But then they're going to take to the television and they're going to speak about democracy, and they're fighting for
Transparency.
democracy, which is yeah, exactly. Hogwash, for need of a better word, if I must, because that is what we're seeing right about now. I don't expect that anything substantial is going to come out of if Mr. Shearer does meet with our chair, Mr. Figuera, this week. I believe that she's going to go, and she's going to go mounting a whole lot of other requirements, and things need to be done like this and this is, and try to drag it out a whole lot more. But the public is watching, and what I can say at this point, to close on what I'm saying here, is that one thing I always mention, Sherrod, is that when the coalition took office, Guyanese had a different view of politics. They were able to scrutinize the process of things being done. They were able to make their comments publicly, and that's what the PPP was not prepared to deal with. So right now they're being called out from every spectrum of society, and they can't handle it. So when they come with their nonsense again this week, and they try to further stymie the establishment of the committee, again the community is going to call them out for it. The man in the street is going to call them out. Persons are going to go on social media and they're going to call them out. And I'm so happy that I'm seeing news agencies calling them out as well, because we need to unite our voices of people in order to fight them and fight this dictatorial regime that they have.
Couldn't put it any better. Couldn't put it any better at all. For those of you who are now joining our podcast Below the Belt, we are talking today with the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, German Figuera, member of Parliament, Regional Finance, a member of the Public Accounts Committee as well. We're talking with Ganesh Mai Paul, member of Parliament and a member of the Public Accounts Committee as well. And we're talking with the former chair, former Minister of Infrastructure, David Patterson, a member of Parliament and a member of the Public Accounts Committee, as well as why the PPP has been alluding or have been evasive in not establishing quite a few of the commissions, including the Public Procurement Commission. What do they have to hide? What do they have to hide? And some of it is coming out. They want to thief. They want to give big contracts to friends and family. They want kickbacks. They don't want the oversight. And guys, this is not the only commission. It is quite a few of them that are still outstanding. And as Judy says, 18 months in, they can want to come and preach all kinds of stuff to the Guyanese public. But really and truly, they have been found wanting. They have been found wanting. Listen, there's a whole host of commissions, a whole host of them.
Sharon,
Go ahead, Ganesh.
Sharon, I wanted to add to what you said and also mention to your viewers that there is currently a question as it relates to the composition of these tender boards, especially the regional procurement and tender administration board. The Procurement Act it's clear with reference to composition, but that is not what was followed by this installed regime. For example, the Procurement Act speaks to two persons from the RDC being a part of the tender board. But when you look at Review 4, 7, and 10 and how it was constituted, they don't have two persons from the RDC. Instead, two persons were selected by the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development to sit in the place of the procurement of the states. So
Wow.
the violation is many, and it is very much under questionable circumstances that you have to fight for the procurement commission. And I believe Guyanese need to signal their intent to be noise for the establishment of this procurement commission. You know, sometimes people will say that there is amicable way of dealing with situation, and we need to be a little bit more kind and a little bit more amicable in how we deliberate and you practice some degree of of neutrality, whatever word you want to put there. But for me, Sherrod, they, they only understand brute force and ignorance. Nothing else they seem to comprehend. Everything else they seem to want to run with the numbers, and they are nobody less than the speaker himself, Manzoor Nadir, who once said in Parliament, "You can have your say, but you can have your way," and that is exactly what PPP
That
is
says it
doing.
all.
But it's necessary for brute force and ignorance to confront these people and how they operate.
That said it all. And you know, I'm happy that Ganesh made that intervention, because really and truly, you will have your say and they will have their way, because there's a number of these commissions, again, that provides oversight, that provides checks and balances, that are there for transparency in how we govern, in how persons receive, the citizenry receives different services that are due to them by the state. And we see them now with this Public Procurement Commission being dodgy and shifty. We got the Public Service Commission. Had that been operationalized, we got the Public Service Appellate Tribunal. We got the Teaching Service Commission, Office of the Ombudsman, the Judicial Service Commission, the Ethnic Relations Commission. We got the Rights Commission of Guyana. We got the Police Service Commission, where they just appointed some members, and half of them is political acolytes, is minions, half of them. Folks,
Sure,
Mr.
it's
Chairman,
important for the public to know and understand that when the commission was put in place in 2015, there was a formula of a five-member commission, three for the government and three for the opposition, of which the chairman comes from the government and the vice chairperson comes from the opposition. So we need the public to understand that as well, because the PPP is very deceitful and cunning. So that must be placed out there. The chairmanship from the government.
and it has to be noted, it's an interesting point that Chairman German Figuera, Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, is raising there, because where there are established rules, where there are precedents, where where there are customs, they are not following that. Where there are laws, they are not following that. From the establishment of these commissions, from the precedents of the past, from the customs of the past, they deviate from everything. Look, they wanted to put in Vishnu Prasad at GCOM. You had criteria. He satisfies none of them, and yet he is CEO. Dinky, they will have their way, and you will have your say, if you have your say
But
at all.
Sharon, I want to jump in there because you went out to GCOM, but we can actually look at the setup that we have at Parliament and even level the parliamentary committees, because we're speaking right now, the four of us, as the opposition members of the Public Accounts Committee. The precedent has always been, year go year come, in the Parliament of Guyana, that the main opposition chairs the Public Accounts Committee. We saw in this Parliament the PPP basically deciding that they do not want the chairman to be Mr. David Patterson, as he was selected by the main opposition, the coalition. But they decided that, hey, we're going to show them that we're going to use our one seat majority at the level of the Public Accounts Committee and remove him. And that is what we need to look at when they're speaking about oversight, like David was hinting to earlier, when they're speaking to oversight of the Natural Resources Fund, which for a fact the PPP have 5 members on the Public Accounts Committee. The opposition have 4, and they do every single thing in their power to make sure that they bring a motion for this, bring a motion for that, because they know they have the number to win it when it comes to a vote. Another matter we can look at when you talk about them not respecting basic precedents is the selection of the deputy speaker in the National Assembly. For
Yep,
years, deputy
yep,
speaker
yep.
of the National Assembly came from the main opposition. Also, this year you saw the PPP impose themselves to make sure that the selection for the deputy speaker was not the person that the coalition wanted, but they put Mrs. Schumann there. Where you see how that went for them, Sherrod. So I hope that's an example of how things will go if they try to strong arm everything the way in which they're doing right about now and deviate from the practices of the parliament, which we should be using if we want to even attempt to say we're practicing good governance. But the PPP does not operate in that manner. So those are the glaring examples that we need to point to when we're talking about the PPP and how they've been treating precedents set forward by previous governments.
Fantastic point.
Yes, Sherrod.
Great to hear David jump in there.
I also want to let people know the importance of the public procurement commission.
Go right ahead, David. Stay close to the mic.
The commission will get things like to make like $1 million contract. They firm. They awarded a they've been with a company, right? Formed 3 months bit wet. But that's the people in the region foster a entertainment school for the children to learn. With the public procurement, we could done and force them and have that for the prisons. They're building up. Come on, and then when $1 million and his claim to pay, well, and then almost a contract. Follow the procurement rules, not because the procurement is after recourse. Why we just a commission in name only. It is where we invest your report. An entertainer that and they do good entertainment. They hold nice parties. You contractor. I was on the feet again going. That's the collapse. Contractors' fault. Contractors, a butcher, die. Butcher knows to cut off. Yeah, I do it. I tell me do it. So he puts our children in um suffer. With so that which they give another 9 billion, we have to fix it. Thing it happen with and the prison, isn't it?
David, you're breaking up.
You think
You're breaking up just a
that?
little bit, David. I thought it was just as mine, but I'm
Yeah,
seeing
no,
some
sorry.
comments.
Yeah, well, right. I'm just telling you the quality of work these contractors they'll give. You know what I mean? People that that were blacklisted.
Happy New Year, man.
You can hear?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Yes. There's a company. Here's what. There's a company that was blacklisted by the last Public Procurement Commission. Right? That commission came to an end in December 2020. They blacklisted a contractor. And I could call his name V. Dallas Enterprises because it's there. It's a public record. He's blacklisted for fraudulent activities. And he's blacklisted until this June, I think, of 2030. This government recently awarded a contract to him for $1.4 billion under the Ministry of Housing to complete a road. That's the respect that they have to you. He's blacklisted on the IDB. He's blacklisted by our Public Procurement Commission, the same commission we want to establish. And obviously, there was no Public Procurement Commission in place to reverse that decision, but they can't. Because the fraud that he committed was on an IDB job. The Sheriff Mandela, everybody want to know why the Sheriff Mandela that was passed on the started until late on our government. Twice the IDB went to tender, and twice there were fraudulent activities. We had to fire people, blacklist contractors, and we had to retender. So they don't want the Public Procurement Commission back in place to see what they're doing. We have as soon as they go into place, there are lots of queries. Everybody's gonna act. All sorts of strange companies. There's a company, Vera, Logistics 66, never heard of before, building roads and walkways and dams and those sort of things. But they got a job. Friends and family.
Vera Logistics sleeping with somebody in his government. Who know?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Who knows?
Who know? Guys jumping any point.
Yeah.
It's an open secret.
Yeah, so it's an open secret. Everybody knows that. But of course, even if they have a majority in the Public Procurement Commission, we will write it and we will force them to issue a report. Right? And when they issue the report, we'll be able to, the country in the world will be able to see what they're doing. So they wouldn't do that. But they just got their hands, they're now trying to get their hands on $500 million US. When they get their hands on that sort of money, somebody was a fishmonger, they'll give him $2 billion to go and build a car park or go and build a bus shed and those things like that.
Yep.
They don't, under no circumstances, want any scrutiny for that.
Yep. And another aspect of this discussion about the PPP and the dodgy, shifty nature and how they've been breaking down and dismantling the guardrails of democracy, as Kemrad Tramchit and Leader of the Alliance for Change, Member of Parliament would put it, is their interference. When you do have a commission, their interference. And we saw Irfan Ali, according to what Paul Slow told this nation, interfered with the Police Service Commission, calling to get deals cut for his friends in the police force. The interference. And then we had Patrick Yard, who told us that Gail Teixeira interfered with the Public Service Commission several times. So when they're not operationalizing the commissions, when they are operationalized, they heavy political interference. Paul Slow said Ali called him and asked him about Karambash and others. So that's another issue.
German, Sharad, do you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
I want to clear up another matter. Because I see that the PPP And the media has stated like there's $48 million for the former commissioners. And of course, and it's making it sound that what they're trying to do is to give their supporters an impression that the commission will cost so much money. That's why they're hyping up the money for that. But in truth, right? So they want to, so people can start to say, why are you paying them so much money and those things like that? But the truth of the matter is that there were 5 commissioners that were appointed in 2016, and 3 of them, of course, worked until 2019, and 2, the chairman and the vice chairman, worked until 2020. What was missing was that the contracts omitted a clause in it saying that like every contract you have maturity, right, every 6 months. So these commissioners worked for 4 years, right, and they have no the maturity clause was not in place. So the $48 million is over a 4-year period, right? And it's about this is everybody would know. Everybody's on contract knows how you get paid maturity every 6 months. So what we did was, what our new TSC did was approve this payment retroactively. So basically, it's just $2 million per person. But of course, when you multiply it by the 4 years, that you reach the 8, and then you multiply by the 5, that's how come you get the $40 million. Right? So, but they want to get the impression. They want to get, it's not just a one-off. They want to give impression that this commission is going to be expensive. That's why they don't want it. You'll hear them. See this very shortly. You'll see the writers attacking that point, and the sickler fans be saying, "Oh, why pay these people so much money when you could give it to sugar workers or those things like that?" Hogwash is
Indeed, and they continue by all these machinations to dismantle and to break down the safety nets, the guardrails of our democracy. Guys, jump in anywhere there.
Yeah, if I may, with respect to what Mr. Patterson just
Yes,
said
you may,
there,
sir.
uh,
Go right ahead.
the committee called that meeting specifically to have that as a substantive item before the end of the 31st of December. Because we believe the commissioners who work should have been compensated. They should have been in receipt of their monies, and we specifically called that meeting so that we could hear the views, articulate our views, and come to a position. We did unanimously and agreed that those commissioners should be paid 60. So when the commission life came to an end, that was the decision of the public accounts committee. In time for the payment to be made so that the commissioners could have gotten their money for the festive season. All and behold, when we came to the committee, what we realized yesterday, the commissioners weren't even paid. So that the clerk of the National Assembly did all that was required for them to be paid. And then we subsequently heard the Deputy Speaker send the decision and the calculation of the proceeds to the Minister of Government. Which was somewhat confusing for us. We wanted to know why is it that was sent to the Minister of Governance, who happens to be a member of the Public Accounts Committee as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we need a separation of. That's why we wanted these agencies, these constitutional agencies, to be independent.
They don't wonder.
Because now you're seeing why they want total control, as Ramji Tan would say, control freakism.
Yep, that's where we are.
Work and they should be paid. Commissioners work and they should be paid. That is our position.
Agreed. You know, writing some time ago, Mr. Anand Gulcharan, a well-known figure on these issues of public accountability and so forth, in I think a very good text titled Improving Public Accountability, the Guyana Experience 1985 to 2007. I think this formed his doctoral thesis. Anand Gulsaraj, he says that accountability becomes enriched if it is seen as a moral act and a personal responsibility, voluntarily given rather than being imposed. Public accountability is a far more rigorous form of accountability, which requires officials to explain their actions publicly and to allow their performance to be subject to independent scrutiny and reporting to the highest levels of the state. He goes on further to say, an effective system of public accountability requires an up-to-date financial management system out of which can be derived periodic financial reporting that is timely and reflective of international best practices. He concludes by saying here, in addition, an independent and credible legislative audit serving the public interest, a competent and impartial public accounts committee, and a responsive and enlightened government are indispensable to the maintenance of the highest standards of public accountability. All that I just said is French, Spanish, and Dutch and Latin combined to the PPP. Reactions, guys?
It's worse than that. The people understands fully what you're saying there. What they choose to do, however, is the complete opposite of what is being advised in that piece of writing that you just read, Sharon. They do not intend at any point in time to adhere to any best practices of oversight and accountability. This is not what the PPP is looking at. If persons are to pay attention to the bill that they passed and they act and that was signed into law with the Natural Resources Fund, the only thing that they did, the only things that they changed from what the AP and UAFC had in their act is the oversight and the accountability aspect of it altogether. They were not interested in changing anything else. They took the other things back wholesale. But
Because it was a good act.
go and do is say exactly what they wanted to do is just remove every aspect of oversight that they could remove. These are the people, they don't look at international best practices and all those things when they are on a mission to fill their own pockets. Let us be quite frank. That is what the people are looking to do. They look at this money, this 500 billion. Oh my gosh, yes, we're gonna go in there. We're gonna spend this like crazy. So anything that they have to do, they will do everything in their power to make sure that committees such as the Public Procurement Commission and the Public Accounts Committee and every other body that is responsible for oversight is muzzled, because that's what they do. That is what is required in order for them to get their way, in order for them to make themselves and their cronies rich and wealthy beyond the ordinary Guyanese people. And what we're going to see is that you're going to drive down the streets and you're going to see children on the side of the streets, as you see right now, begging their bread so that they can put food in their mouths at the end of the night. That is the recipe that the PPP have in place for all Guyanese with the methodology that they're going about with governance right now. Let people be very keen and let them understand that that is what they're going to see. They're going to see more homeless persons. They're going to see crime on the increase. They're the least bit concerned in crime, because when you're doing wrong, Sherry, you can't do wrong with the criminals. You can't knock glass with them and share the spoils and then bring them in when crime is being committed. It doesn't work like that. So you're going to see crime on the increase because they do not have the authority to discipline persons that they are knocking glass with at the end of the night by the nightclubs and so forth.
Sherrod,
Well
if I
said.
may,
Go right ahead, Mr. Chairman.
you know, you know what is interesting? The president, in his attempt to defend that natural resource fund bill, said that the Public Accounts Committee will add scrutiny. But he knows full well, as the um the former chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, that the committee in itself needs more legislative bite, so to speak, in order for real scrutiny to happen. We at the committee level should be given legislative powers, sanction public officers and contractors who misappropriate and mismanages force of this nation. And as a former chairman, he knows the limitation of the Public Accounts Committee. He knows full well many of the recommendations the Public Accounts Committee put to regions and ministries and government agencies and implement. And I say to him and those who have the desire for real good governance and scrutiny and oversight, to give the Public Accounts Committee more legislative bite so that we can really give the population scrutiny that is required of the public force. More so, for us to implement our recommendations. Because some people take the Public Accounts Committee for granted, especially some of the political um, accounting officers who come before us. They take it for a joke. And they don't respond in a manner with the Guyanese population. Expect them to respond, who are managing the resources of this nation. They look on the government side for support. And we are in 2022. And if we are really to give oversight of those money, then we have to look at where we are now. We are presently
Yep.
going to look at 2017 and 2018 reports. Reports that the government side, Mr. Shearer and Bishop Edgil and others, vehemently oppose us merging those two reports, those 2 years reports, even though in the embryonic stage of us having this public accounts committee setup, they agreed we will merge it, and then came back and tried to lie to the committee to say that they didn't agree to that. And it took Mr. Patterson's prudence to expose the lie, and we took their verbatim when they were spoken at that meeting.
Wow.
So we wanted to adhere to what Goldman would have said in his report, so that you could really give stability and scrutiny year by year, month by month, by saying to the committee, and Chinese populace also agreed on possible to reach up to present year, but they are in opposition to that sensible proposal. That's where we are. Local governance. That's where we are.
Wow. silent, lots of them are guarding their 30 pieces of silver. That's what they're doing. Lots of them. Look at Don Singh being given a big 5G network license. Among other things, he was running for chair for CEO of GCOM. And you can go down the list of them. Look at the former private sector chairman who left that position to become the advisor on borders under this government, earns a huge salary. And you can go down the list and you can see where the guardians are. If they're silent, counting their 30 pieces of silver. Folks, we are at program time, and I just want to invite all the members that we have with us at the Public Accounts Committee for their final thoughts to the people of this country, because we're really at a juncture in this nation's history that can either make us or break us with the windfall of wealth we have, but the poor thieving management, if you want to call it that, of this installed administration. Your thoughts, guys, as we bring the curtains down on our program.
Well, Sharad, we're in an absolutely bad place, because obviously 18 months ago, and even before that, 2.5 years ago, there was all this, you would cry about democracy, there's all this, you would cry about transparency, there's all this, you would cry about accountability and those things like that. And what we see now.
Indeed. Indeed. And that's where we are. Jump in, folks. Ganesh?
Sharad, the PPP is a bunch of thieves. And Guyanese too silent with their actions. And I'm saying that Guyanese don't have to only listen to us. They are sensible enough to go and do their research. They can read and they can decipher for themselves. And they need to use their social media account. They need to write letters to the newspaper, and they need to speak out. They need to speak out on this regime that we have, this wicked, demonic, evil, and conniving regime that is currently in our country, installed by fraudulent votes given to them by Claudette Singh. Because Claudette knows that there were 49 boxes with questionable votes. She knows that dead people's name were ticked off as voted. She knows that there were people who migrated and did not return to this country on before the 2nd of March 2020. She knows all of this because it was verified. They themselves, as GCOM, as Chief Immigration Officer for verification. They wrote the GRO for verification. Information came back to her and the commission indicating indeed there are many names on the list that were recorded as voting and should not have been. Yet those questionable votes give us poor action and installed regime, and they're using that questionable majority that they have to pass laws. They don't take confidence of the people. All they're concentrating on and stealing the wealth of this nation. No consideration for intergenerational benefits. No consideration for the future. Filling their pockets, enriching themselves to benefit their immediate family, stifling Guyana, fighting for dual citizenship so that they can run to Canada or America, leave us in this mess that they have us in, and then they must go off and enjoy their ride. If we as Guyanese stay silent on this, and we don't speak and sound our voices, then what comes to happen? All I'm saying is that we can continue to talk day in, day out. If the Guyanese people that are listening to us, agreeing with us, and they're not acting, then it only means that they are complicit with this installed regime. Thank you very much, Sherrod.
Thank you, Ganesh Maipal. Jump in there, guys, as we wrap up.
Jared, I want to say thanks for the opportunity to be on your program once more. And I want to leave this quote by a famous African, Modibo Keita. And this is what he said. When the citizens of a nation deem their most accomplished thieves as the most electable, then they lose the right to complain, and theft becomes their national creed. I think this is where a lot of the PPP leadership are. They become so confident that irrespective of what they do, their support base will continue. And this is a sad state Guyana is in. We need conscious people who will make intelligent decisions beyond party lines, beyond racial or ethnic lines. And look at Guyana first and ask yourself, is this what I want for my country? Is this what I want my children to inherit? And make your decisions from there. Because if you're against corruption, you are a part of the opposition. If you're against injustice, you're a part of the coalition. And we are saying this is not what Guyana, this is not the best that Guyana has to offer. And we be saying time has come for Guyanese to speak out against this injustice so that we can take back this country. A lot of qualified professionals are saying that they want to leave Guyana. And in 2015, those who are overseas are saying they want to come home and help build Guyana. Now people want to run away from their homeland. But I ain't running away. I'm going to stay and fight these jagabats with Sherrod and others. Thank you, Sherrod.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, German Figuera. I can take Jarita, and I think David is going to have the final word.
Yeah, Sherrod, if I may, I'm going to leave the final word to my senior, Mr. Patterson.
Go right ahead.
Sherrod, one of the things that we learned over the last 18 months about the PPP is that, well, we have introduced a new word into the National Assembly. Myself and Amanza Walton Desir, which is Speaker, asked that the word be scratched from the records of parliaments, from the Hansard. And that word is kleptocracy, right? And kleptocracy is the meaning of the word is the use of political power to appropriate the wealth of a nation, typically by embezzling or misappropriating government funds at the expense of the wider population. Kleptocracy means a government who is corrupt, a government of corrupt, thieving leaders. And I don't think that there's any better word that could be used to describe the PPP right now. This is what they have been demonstrating, and persons need to stand up and not just be comfortable with what is going on. The actions of the PPP today is things that have far-reaching consequences, and we are going to continue. I say this every single program I'm on with you, Sharon. As a member of parliament, I will continue to do my part. I will continue to work beyond the call of duty to represent the people of this country, especially those that have been left out in the cold by this administration. But we also need persons to note that they need to stand up for themselves as well. And as I close on your last program, I'm going to close today and say that the only thing necessary for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. So let the good men and women in this country stand up. Also stand up beside us, behind us. We are on the front line. We are taking the fight ourselves. We are not people that's going to be saying that, oh, you go out and fight, we're not doing anything. We are out there fighting tooth and nail. We are on the front line. We are saying you need to stand up with us. We will not rest until Guyanese are the true beneficiaries of this country's resources.
Well said, well said, well said. Former Minister of Infrastructure, a former chair of the PSC, David Patterson. Do we have David with us still? That being said,
I think David's internet is going on in and out.
That being said, folks, we're going to let Charita's word then be the final word. I want to thank all of the members of the Public Accounts Committee who have been here with us. The chairman, the current chairman, German Figuera, a member of parliament, and also Director of Finance, a member of that committee, the Public Accounts Committee. Very, very important committee in our country. Very, very important committee gives oversight and supervision to the spending of the government. You have Ganesh Maipal as well, another very important member of the Public Accounts Committee, and as I said, former chairman of that committee, the Public Accounts Committee, and former Minister of Infrastructure, who did fantastic, phenomenal work as a minister with that portfolio. I want to thank each of you for being part of our podcast today, Below the Belt. It has been an education, guys. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you for having us, Sharon.
Sure. Right.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. And folks, that's our program. That's our program. We are so privileged to have had each and every one of you who have spent this time with us. We could not have asked for a better audience. We could not ask for a better audience in you guys. We trust you guys are going to have a fantastic lunch. I'm having some puri. I'm having some puri, a light lunch, if you want to call that a lunch. I know some of you are going to get rice and so forth. I'm having a puri, and I'm going to have some soda for now. That's the preamble, the prelude. Folks, that's going to be the prelude to lunch. That's going to be prelude to lunch. But thank you for the hundreds of you who joined our podcast. It is our privilege, Marsha Glasgow, hosting you today. Clive Jackson, Andrew Cuthbert. I see Patricia Graves-Andy as well is here with us. Patricia Graves-Andy Goodman. Rami Leander is here too. Simone Kelman Washington. Carlotta Reynolds. I see Deborah Clark is here too. I see Tasha Silet is with us. And guys, we are privileged to have all of you. Take the opportunity to share the podcast before you go so that other folks can benefit. Other folks that are friends to you on your Facebook page and profiles can benefit from the information as well. And Peggy Russell Elias is asking when James is coming in the ring. He has promised us that he will be here soonest. Masha Glasgow, good to see you. Desiree Simon Liverpool. Desiree, you're looking well. You're looking fantastic. You're looking like 25, Desiree. Judith Holmes, good to see you. Brian, is it Brian? Is it Ermafu? Good to see you, Brian. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Deborah Clark, good to see you. Amanda Daniels, Raphael Williams, and all you other beautiful, fantastic folks. So great to see all of you. And as we go, guys, we want to leave you with our quote for the day. You know, it's coming from a Greek. It is coming from a Greek who says that famous men have the whole earth as their memorial. And I think what Pericles, the Greek statesman, orator, and general during the golden age of Athens, was referring to here is that when you do good, that good lives long after you. I sound as though I'm quoting Shakespeare too. But this is from Pericles, the Greek statesman, orator, and general during the golden age of Athens. He says, famous men have the whole earth as their memorial. And I think because of the exceptional work that these guys are doing on the Public Accounts Committee and that our MPs are doing there, they are going to be able to be inheritors of such a statement. Famous men have the whole earth as their memorial. Guys, thanks for joining our podcast today. It has been our absolute privilege having each and every one of you guys. We cannot do this without you. And so we continue to ask for your support. And we continue to thank you for your support as well. Why don't you come on board and partner with us and help us to do more such programs like Below the Belt, like In the Ring, expand what we're doing on our website, Credible Sources, GY.com. That's the web address, crediblesourcesgy.com, and the website is Credible Sources. Help us to do more of that, getting the information to you guys in a timely manner. And we're going to be building out all of these programs while adding additional program. That is our mission for the year, getting more credible and valid information to you guys. Thank you for being in the ring. Guys, if you want to help us, expand, we have several platforms available. We have the Cash App feature. At Cash App, it's $, in the ring 592. It's $, symbol In the Ring 592 at PayPal. We can be had at inthering592 at gmail.com. At PayPal, we can be had at inthering592 at gmail.com. At MMG, that's the local cash app, the GT&T system, we can be reached at 627-6963. That's our MMG number, 627-6963. And we are also available via Western Union and MoneyGram. You need any guidance, you have some information, you got something that is newsworthy, a photograph, a video, we can be had via WhatsApp at that number as well, 627-6963. Andrew Cuthbert, stay well. Lexi Boss, stay well. Marsha Glasgow, stay well. Marilyn George, St. Romain, Adams, Quissy, Moffat, Desiree, Emmanuel. Guys, stay well. We're going to see you right back here this evening at 8 o'clock sharp, where we are in the ring. Thanks for joining us below the belt. Who vex, vex? Who vex, vex? Thanks for joining us, guys. Enjoy lunch. Enjoy what remains of lunch. And enjoy the rest of the day until we see you guys back here this evening. Stay safe, guys. Stay safe out there.